And I hear Hanny. I hear myself. There we go. There we go. We'll give everybody a couple minutes to get in. Also, I'm going to go ahead and tweet out this link. It is Wednesday night. We are here at Oliver Twist. This is not Tiger Zone. This is not Eagle Post Game.
It is not.
Hanny.
It's not even draft night.
I find myself seated next to you once again. It is a pleasure, as always, to be seated by the lore master, Archmaester Hanagriff. Matt is out of town. I think he's creepily following the SEC meetings around. Right? Isn't he in Destin as well? He's probably just like hanging out outside the building trying to get somebody to talk to him.
I think his exact term was down the road.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What's up, y'all? What's up, Sammy Silver? What's up, Edward? Okay, we're going to give people a couple minutes to get in here.
By the way, thanks for the invite. I've been here a number of times. It's a terrific place.
Love it.
And,
love it.
Happy to be out here.
Yeah, so our bottle of our break-even bottle night, too. So every Wednesday, if you don't know, we're at Oliver Twist every Wednesday now, 7 to 8 p.m. It's a great time to hang out. But if you like to drink, if you want like a little middle-of-the-week, and this is called a rhubarb drag race. So I think it's like a play on like RuPaul drag race, rhubarb drag race. Let's see how it is. A little fruity. A little bitterness to kind of make it not too sweet. Not a bad summer night's drink right there. A little rhubarb's drag race. But this is the big one. This is what you care about. This is some single barrel Hancock's President's Reserve bourbon. This is normally $22 a pour. Tonight, it is just $4 a pour, Hanny. $4 a pour. I know.
Less than 20% of retail price.
Yeah.
If you're a bourbon connoisseur,
every week,
something that's $22 a pour going for $4 a pour, you have to check that out.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's just value. I know you and Otter have had many discussions on value through the years. That is value.
Value's a big buzzword.
That is the value. Okay, here we go. And so look, on tonight's show, we are going to talk a lot of LSU baseball. We got the Hattiesburg Regional right around the corner, and I got my guy Hanny with me, so of course I'm going to pick his brain a bunch. Hanny, as we give a couple minutes for people to get in here. By the way, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, like it, share it. I'm monitoring the YouTube chat. I don't think I have the Facebook chat, so put your questions in the YouTube chat if you can, ideally. Like it, share it. Edward O says, I'm not pushing Napier. Legendary moment from the Archmaester. Handy, okay, we'll start in a second, but I got to say this.
You brought a laptop. I brought a legal pad.
I know. Hey,
I feel like Tony Cornhusker.
Hey, man. Look, that's the lore master. That's the Archmaester. The Archmaester should bring a legal pad. The Archmaester should also be in possession of the greatest LSU sweatshirt that has ever been made, which I've now stolen from you, but I plan on giving back. Is that an old fraternity sweatshirt, though, that everybody went gaga over?
No, I was never in a fraternity. That was a gift from my mother, probably my freshman year at LSU, probably somewhere around 1989, 1990.
Wow.
Just one of those, hey, stick it under the Christmas tree. You're at LSU now. Wear the sweater. And it stayed in the back of my closet for a long time.
Hell yeah.
And when it came out was when Hester and I started doing the show together, and I was back in studio. And as you know good and well, it's freezing cold in there.
Yeah, it's awful.
So I started looking for, sweatshirts that I could bring in to warm up. And so I brought that one plus one that's at Barrett's Barleycorn, which is the best bar
and that's
by
a place in Omaha,
right? In Omaha,
right?
yeah.
Okay. I saw that one. I wore the Barleycorn one the other day. That is still in the closet.
Yes, that's mine also. You're free to use it. Just return it when you're done.
Okay, y'all, look, like I said, like share the post. Let's get into it, though, Hanny. A few different places we could start. The SEC meetings are going on right now. You're starting to see.
We're moving on.
I know. Right? I mean,
that was a buzz today. We're moving on.
So I actually missed today's coverage. So is that what Jimbo? Because I got to be honest, I was deep into Obi-Wan hole. And by the way, I know you're a huge Star Wars fan. Just wait for Obi-Wan. And one more thing, too. This is fucking delicious right here.
Yeah,
I just got a little sip of this. This is amazing. The aftertaste on it, absolutely fantastic. That's right, Zach Mo. We got our guy Hanny in the house. But Obi-Wan, Hanny.
Yeah.
I think you're going to really, really love and appreciate. I'm excited for when you watch it. Try to check it out tonight.
I'm
Spoilers are out there, bro. That's all I'm saying.
I know. I got to be careful. I always thought that his story, of all of the stories.
You mean Obi-Wan when you say his?
Yes, Obi-Wan's story was probably one of the three most compelling stories that there was a gap in.
Yep.
Okay, Han was one, and Darth Vader. Actually, Darth Vader I think is one, and I'm waiting for them. There's a mini. I don't want to call it a mini series or whatever. There's 6 episodes of Vader between Rogue One and A New Hope.
Yes.
That's just begging to be made.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because if you saw the last scene of Rogue One, which was one of the best scenes in the entire Star Wars, catalog, then you want to know what happens between there and the time New Hope starts. Ooh. And so I'm sorry. That is when New Hope starts. It goes straight from Rogue One.
Yes.
But the part from where
Vader's created until that moment.
From where Episode 3 ends to where Rogue One.
You want to see Prime Vader, the same way that Mando Season 2 gave us Prime Luke.
The baddest dude in the galaxy, the baddest villain maybe in the history of movies. I want to see the wrath of terror that Vader did from the end of Revenge of the Sith all the way to where he picks up in Rogue One.
Hey,
but Solo was a story that I wanted told, and Kenobi is definitely a story I want told.
Well, Hanny, I have good news for you.
Oh.
Given the sort of dual nature of, or not dual nature, but given the unbreakable bond between Obi-Wan and Vader, the circle is now complete, all of that sort of stuff. There is the potential, I'm not going to call it yet, but there is the potential for this Obi-Wan series to get 2 birds with 1 stone. You might get Obi-Wan and Vader a little bit here.
And I think that's possible for sure. The one thing about the Vader series, which there's so many ways you can go with
now, are you talking about old extended universe books?
No, I'm talking about Vader. I'm talking about Vader from the time you end Episode 3.
Yes, yeah.
Any gaps that you have between there and take your pick, the end of Rogue One, the beginning of New Hope, which is essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot that you could fill in there where Vader becomes the most feared person in the game. When you saw New Hope, okay,
he was terrifying.
Yeah, and you didn't have any idea who the Emperor was.
No,
I didn't. I mean, the Emperor character wasn't really introduced until much later in the trilogy. Vader was the #1 bad guy. And I'm not sure in my mind, he's still the #1 baddie in the history of movies. I mean, you can take your Jokers and your Norman Bateses. I'll take Darth Vader. So there's a lot of place that you can fill in there. And how did he become the bad? How did he go from having no legs and on the verge of death to being the baddest dude in the galaxy? That's the story I want to tell.
Oh, okay. Well, you may be in luck. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
You should definitely watch the show.
And I need James Earl Jones to voice it. And God bless him, the man's getting older. Okay.
Again, I think I would say that you need to go watch tonight.
You keep up with the trades more
tonight.
More
ideally,
yeah.
Ideally, you should go watch tonight. All right.
I've got 19 podcasts to do before I leave town tomorrow, but okay.
Okay. I see. You're putting a lot of hay in the barn to get out of town. Are you going to Hattiesburg? Do you want to start there? Where are you going?
Oh man, I shouldn't have said anything.
Oh, you?
No. Okay, I'm gonna come clean. I'm gonna come clean. 6 months ago, right around Christmas time, my wife and I and 2 friends of ours, another couple, decided that we were going to go and see Jimmy Buffett in Gulf Shores.
Oh, hell
I haven't seen Buffett in an amphitheater style setting in close to 10 years. Seen him at Jazz Fest, which doesn't really count. So we bought these tickets.
How many times have you seen Buffett in your life? I just want to get your paired head credentials here.
15-ish.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't that what you Buffett heads are called? Is it paired heads?
Paired heads, yeah.
So you are a dyed-in-the-wool paired head.
Yeah.
And you've been a decade without it, though.
Almost, yeah.
Wow.
Almost. I mean, I saw him at Jazz Fest, and you kind of—it's almost like a kind of half counted because Buffett, seen properly, is seen not in a big giant arena like the fairgrounds, which is good, okay, but he's best in an open air amphitheater 6,000 or so people.
Hell
Parrot
yes.
heads. That's how you see. But I've seen him like that in a number of settings, but I've never seen him in Gulf Shores, which he's played a number of times. I wasn't going to miss this one. I don't know how much longer he's going to tour. I hope it's forever, but
Let's go,
I'm
Hanny,
going
dude.
tomorrow night to be there.
Hell yes.
And
I'm
then,
so
and then
happy
the next
for
day
you.
at the beach, I will be able to watch the LSU game on television.
You're
So,
going to be chilling
Yeah.
at the beach bar, drinking beach drinks, watching the Hattiesburg Regional on a Friday night?
probably, yes.
Hanny, let's go, dude. That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
All right, well,
So
let's,
I'm not going to watch Kenobi tonight because I got too
no,
much
that's
to do.
right.
if I
You
get
got
out
a
of
lot to
town.
do, bro.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And look, always the great part, just stay off the internet as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Just stay off of Twitter as much as you can. That's why I got freaked out
Yeah.
and forced my entire life and my kid. I locked my kids in a room today, and I was like, leave Daddy alone for an hour to an hour and 15 minutes.
Completely fair.
All right. So, with Hattiesburg on the mind, then LSU going to Hattiesburg very famously on Scone T last week. Scone said that LSU was for sure in a regional, that it was a joke that LSU would get sent to Hattiesburg. That's ridiculous. They never get sent to Hattiesburg. They always get sent to the West. They didn't even have to win a game at the SEC tournament. It was all very convincing. I fully believed it, dude. You're giving me a look like you were not on the same page.
I
there.
wasn't, and I told Matt that.
Yeah.
You know, we talked briefly about it. I think we had picture day. But the numbers, the metrics did not support LSU hosting a regional. They just didn't. There was not one metric that LSU could hang their hat on. Their RPI was 25. It was well outside the top 16.
Yeah.
Their record against top 50 teams, which is what we call Q1, was 10-16.
Yeah.
That was way far down the list. They were 1-2 in the conference tournament. They were 17-13 in the league. That was the one thing that they were really hanging their hat on.
Yeah.
And that ended up being 18-15. It was good. Okay, I would have said that LSU not only was not a top 16 team, they were not a top 18 team. If I could have changed the host sites, I would have swapped out Florida for Notre Dame for sure.
Okay.
Remember, Notre Dame played an ACC schedule, okay? The ACC and the SEC were essentially a dead heat.
Yeah, they got
this year.
9 teams apiece in, right? Both
Yeah,
conferences?
they were essentially a dead heat, power ratings-wise. And then the other one I would have given you was Oklahoma. Both of them had better RPIs. Both of them had better conference records. Both of them had better records against Q1. And both of them were better in their conference tournaments. And neither one of them hosted. So,
little truth from the lore master here.
There would have had to be 20 host sites for LSU to get one. They would have been 19 or 20 in my book. Because I can say TCU, whose RPI was far inferior to LSU's, but they won the Big 12, had at least an argument as well. And you say, well, you just use an RPI as an absolute? No, because Wake Forest, who was an RPI 6, did not host. Vanderbilt, who's an RPI 7, did not host.
Yeah.
Why? Because those teams had inferior conference records. Wake Forest was 15-14-1 in the ACC, and Vanderbilt was 14-16 in the regular season. So, as much as I wanted LSU to host, and as much as I thought they had a chance going to the SEC tournament, I never thought it was a lock. The way Matt did. We disagree. Hey, look, I respect Scone's opinion.
Well,
but
I think
I
this
disagreed
is good
with
for
him.
these Scone and T podcasts to get because I was, I'm the neophyte in all of this. I'm just rolling around, slobbering, saying, oh, yeah, that sounds pretty convincing to me. So I think giving this sort of informed counter opinion is exactly what the show needs.
I'm a big believer in study history or repeat it. So I went back.
Yep.
This is where I came up with this opinion.
Straight up.
All right. LSU this year was going into the SEC tournament was 37-18 and a 23 RPI. Last year, Florida was 35-19, essentially the same record, and the exact same SEC record at 17-13 and an RPI 26. So they were basically the same thing. Florida had to win 3 games in the SEC tournament in 2021 to get a host site. They ended up being the number 15 seed, and one of those wins was against Mississippi State, who was number 2 in the RPIs last year, ended up winning a national championship. So I said, well, LSU in 2022 is essentially Florida in 2021. Florida had to win 3 games, and when they did, they got in.
The host.
And the team they lost to was Tennessee, who was an RPI 6. I said, so going in, I'll tell you what was a really good question last week was, do you think Auburn or Kentucky. Who are you rooting for, Auburn or Kentucky, to play LSU? And I said, well, you got a risk-reward thing here. If Auburn wins, LSU's less likely to beat them because Auburn is better than Kentucky overall. It's top 10 RPI. You would get credit for that. But if Kentucky wins, you're more likely to beat Kentucky, but they're outside the top 50. So Kentucky wins.
And then when you lose to Kentucky, it spikes you.
Well, at the end, yeah. But if you had beaten – I thought LSU needed 3 wins if it didn't include a win against Tennessee. I thought you could beat Auburn. I thought you could beat Vandy, Ole Miss. That would do it. If Auburn had won and you had beaten Auburn and Tennessee, well, that would have done it.
Yeah,
2 wins would have done it there. But once you beat Kentucky, that was kind of like it was flat. You didn't get you didn't get
it was
dinged.
kind of a net. It was neutral. Net like a neutral
kind
result.
of a net zero. And once you lost to Tennessee, who is so good, kind of a net zero. So going into Friday, LSU was really in the same spot, power ranking wise, that they were when they entered the tournament. So they had to win again, and they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, look, very, very fair points. Okay, so that's interesting because if they had snuck in, they're sneaking in as what, 16, 15, somewhere around there?
Yeah, they would have probably been where Florida is.
So the very natural follow-up question here is, and I know you've been talking about it, so I apologize for being cliche, but again, I want to get your take on this.
No, man, that's what I'm here for.
Is this?
I brought my legal pad.
I know, we got the legal pad.
What are we going to do, man? Look.
I mean, okay, so is this?
Gordy's going to upgrade me to a computer next week, he promises.
So is this, though, is this all a blessing in disguise for LSU? Is the long and short of it?
If you asked me, does LSU have a better chance to advance?
Like, because Omaha is the goal, right? Like, that is the end-all, be-all, right?
Absolutely.
What is the easier road to Omaha?
If you asked me if LSU and Florida could swap spots right now, okay? Florida is at home, but Oklahoma, who should have hosted, is their 2 seed. Liberty, who is RPI 31,
did they
is
win
the 3
the conference
seed.
or they lost in the conference championship?
Oklahoma?
No, Liberty. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But yes, 31 RPI.
Yeah, 31 RPI
As a 3 seed.
is the 3 seed. If you said LSU could host Oklahoma, Liberty, and Central Michigan, or go to Southern Miss, where Kennesaw State and Army, who are 2 of the weakest 3 and 4 seeds in the field, I would tell you LSU has a better chance to win in Hattiesburg against this field than they do at home against the field that Florida drew. And here's how I can back up my point. Florida is a favorite at home. They're plus 110. At home, LSU is a favorite on the road, minus 106. So LSU is a bigger favorite, to win on the road than Florida is at home.
And so the road piece is interesting here for a couple of reasons. First off, geographically, I mean, Hanny, help me out here. When LSU's had to go on the road for the regional, generally it is not drivable, right? Because they don't want to put you at a conference site, so generally you have to go. I know there's like some sort of like neutral site at UNO from many moons ago.
LSU,
maybe was there a Lafayette somewhere in there?
They never went to Lafayette. LSU has traveled for only 3 regionals prior to this one since 1989.
Oh,
okay?
wow.
Regionals. Okay, and all 3 of them were on the West Coast. In 2010, they went to UCLA.
Yep.
2018, they went to Corvallis.
Yep.
And in 2021, they went to Oregon. And when they won at Oregon last year, it was the first time they had won a postseason regional or super regional on the road since 1989. That was the famous Ben McDonald beat A&M twice on the same day regional. And the reason for that is LSU hosted almost every year.
Yes.
There were a couple of years they didn't get in, but they hosted almost every year. So you say, well, LSU's won 1 road regional in their history.
Well, it's because
they've only played 4 or 5. Okay.
Yeah.
They went to UNO in 87.
And that was technically a neutral site situation.
No, UNO was better than them.
They were playing UNO. Somebody had told me that it was a
They didn't play UNO in the regional, but they were in the same regional in 87. Okay. They ended up winning it.
But the point of this, where I was going with this is...
Oh, was that 85?
Do you think...
85. No, 85 they went to Austin.
You have a barleycorns sweater in the closet at the work right now.
Yeah.
That is in Omaha, Nebraska. Mm-hmm. Will LSU fans be able to push this into a pseudo home game for the Tigers? Like, are you thinking you'll see 50-50? Like, give me maybe a prediction on the audience split between Golden Eagles and Tiger fans.
Southern Miss is going to dominate it
Oh,
because
okay. Are they not giving up the tickets? Like,
they're not.
Yeah,
LSU
okay,
gets
okay.
200 tickets.
Yeah.
Now, if there will be a bigger LSU presence than if, say, Georgia had gone into Hattiesburg or Auburn had gone into Hattiesburg. But to get those tickets, you got 200 tickets that are allotted to LSU for the Southern Miss game.
Yeah.
Unless the Southern Miss season ticket holders who have first crack at this want to sell their tickets for an exorbitant amount of money, and there will be some that do that. LSU will have a greater presence there than any other two-seed would. But are they going to come in there and take over the stadium? No, the tickets aren't available. Imagine for a moment you're a Southern Miss season ticket holder, and you get a regional. Okay, you go to see 40 games, a year, or 35 games a year.
Yeah.
At the peak.
And then you get to host a regional. You ain't giving that up.
I'm not selling my tickets then.
Fuck no, dude.
Now there will be opportunities for some LSU fans. Now, when you say, was LSU going to go in there and take over against Kennesaw State?
Yes.
The Southern Miss fans are going to you buy a book of tickets, okay? And the Southern Miss fans who could care less about watching Kennesaw State, like, hey, LSU fan, you want this ticket for $25 or $35 or $55? Yes. LSU will swamp the stadium on Friday night. But when they play Southern Miss, no. They'll have more than the normal team would because some LSU fans will go out there and say, what do you want for the tickets? I'll buy them from you. And there'll be some price point stuff there. But are they going to have more fans than Southern Miss in Pete Taylor?
No.
Absolutely not.
Okay, so then let's talk about that. Well, actually, before we go back to Southern Miss, there's probably bad ordering of topics here, but no. Let's stay in Hattiesburg.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how I want to massage it. So let's stay in Hattiesburg, because we just talked about when it is Southern Miss, it will be Southern Miss dominate in the crowd. Southern Miss, okay, to my understanding, and I only watch LSU, right? I get snippets of everything else from my, just osmosis basically. To my understanding, Southern Miss started the season very dominant, very hot. It felt like maybe when LSU was going into that Ole Miss series, they were starting to lag a little bit. I think maybe they lost Ole Miss in the midweek. I'm not sure if they won their conference tournament. Like, Southern Miss was being talked about as a top 8 seed. They dropped out of that conversation. Are they better than LSU this year?
They had a better year than LSU in that they dominated their conference, and the NCAA wants to reward that.
Yeah.
Listen, you asked me if they're a better team. I went and took a look at the draft prospects, okay? If you want to talk about who's just talent.
Yeah, talent-wise.
All right. Of the top 5 players in this year's draft, out of this regional, 4 of them belong to LSU. 2 more first-round picks, and one of them potentially the first pick overall in Dylan Cruz, are also in LSU. From a talent standpoint, there is no comparison, and that's why LSU is the betting favorite. But who had the better year? The NCAA can't just say, listen, all 16 teams or 14 teams, about to be 16 teams in the Southeastern Conference, all have better talent than most of the teams or all of the teams in Coosa. Well, if you say that, then we just soon go to what Commissioner Sankey is saying with the football thing, which is we'll just have our own playoff and the hell with everybody else.
Yeah.
The baseball tournament doesn't want to do that. It's why the East Carolinas and the Southern Misses and the Georgia Southerns. Southern Miss won Coosa by 3 games. In a 30-game schedule, they won it by a whole weekend.
Yeah,
I mean that's crazy. A lot. I mean, when you win by 10% over everybody else in the field, they want to reward that. And
what does that mean? Tennessee won it by 6,
almost 20%.
7.
And
Holy
I was talking with Musso before the show. One of the reasons that the ACC is basically there's no difference power rating wise between the ACC and the SEC this year, but the ACC is much deeper. Why? Because Tennessee ran away with the league. Okay. Yeah. They won the league by 2 city blocks. Well, the ACC wasn't like that. The ACC had a lot of good teams at the top, which is how it usually happens in the SEC. In the SEC, T-Bob. Let me give you another example.
Look,
about.
When the legal pad comes out, boys, you know it's about to get real.
Okay, so a couple of times when the SEC has had these dominant teams. I mean, these teams that have just gone crazy. 2013, when Vanderbilt won 26 SEC games.
They won 26?
They were 26-3 with a rain-out.
What?
26-3 with a rain-out. Best record in the history of the 30-game SEC conference, okay? Well, that year, the SEC did not get as many host sites. LSU got one because they were only 4 games behind them.
It dinged the conference as a whole.
It did.
Yeah.
It dinged the depth of it, okay? It dinged the depth of it. I mean, think about it. If you have one team that wins 25 out of 30 games, that middle section, Georgia, A&M, Auburn, LSU, none of them, Vandy, okay? Vandy is a top 10 RPI team this year, had a losing record in the conference.
Yeah.
Okay, so it hits your depth. Here's something else before you go dump all your money on Tennessee and say they're going to win the national championship.
Ooh.
3 greatest seasons in the history of college baseball that did not win a national championship. Arizona State, 1972, won 64 games back when you could play that many, didn't win the national championship. Vanderbilt won 26 out of 29 SEC games in 2013, didn't get out of the Super Regional.
Didn't get out of the Supers?
Didn't get out of Super.
Who beat him?
Louisville. And 2017, this one you will remember, Oregon State went to Omaha with 4 losses in 60 games.
I remember that.
And LSU beat them twice.
That was awesome.
Okay, so can I tell you on paper that Tennessee's not the best team? Not even close. There's not a single metric that Tennessee doesn't blow out of the water. Does it mean they're going to win? It does not.
History's not really on their side in that regard.
It's not. You're talking,
which is fascinating.
Since we went to the Super Regional format, 1999, one time as the number 1 seed won it.
Baseball's just so fucking weird like that. Okay, so with that in mind, you're hoping for a little weirdness this weekend. It's interesting what you mentioned from the talent standpoint. LSU, the betting favorite, kind of adds some pressure on Jay Johnson in my mind. I did read one stat that I really appreciated because I love narrative. I love things echoing each other. Jay Johnson, so LSU, like you said, rarely have they played on the road, so it's a bit of a flawed stat. But they've never made it to Omaha starting the regional round on the road, right? Well, Jay Johnson made it to Omaha through a road regional Super regional in 2016, his first year at Arizona. He will be attempting to do the same thing here. I love that from a narrative standpoint.
Sure.
But if he's going to get there, let's say you win Hattiesburg, which we're getting ahead of ourselves. We got next week to talk about this, but bear with me. You win Hattiesburg. I mean, again, to talk about the easier path, the Coral Gables matchup does not feel nearly as bad as catching a Tennessee or a Stanford or an Oregon State. And speaking of narrative, it is fucking juicy. I mean, you could get Jay Johnson, Arizona, right? Like, you could get LSU, Ole Miss. You could get Southern Miss, Ole Miss as well, which is nice. Not for us. It is nice. But, like, the storylines between these two regionals even are fantastic.
If LSU got into the Super Regional and didn't have to travel, if either Ole Miss or Arizona came here, it'd be a fascinating storyline because Ole Miss swept them 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But if it was Arizona,
that's the best.
We kind of did this when the LSU women's basketball team was getting ready for the NCAA tournament, and there was a lot of talk that the committee would put Baylor and LSU on a collision course in somewhere, say, the Elite Eight. And I said, please, because there's nobody that knows Baylor's personnel as an opposing coach than Kim Mulkey.
It's true.
She coached them all. So if Arizona and LSU played in a Super Regional at Alec Box Stadium, I'm going, could there be a bigger advantage for LSU? Does anybody know Arizona's personnel outside of their current coaching staff than Jay Johnson?
No.
It doesn't mean they're going to win, but my goodness, how much bigger?
And kind of a dark side Vader-like turn, you'll have Jacob Berry batting from the left side, staring back at his old brethren.
That was as big a story as there was this week.
That he was hitting on the left?
That he was hitting it all, and then that he was hitting from the left.
Yeah.
That's where all his power is.
Yeah, that's where only one home run from the right this year, right?
Power is. You know, I think is an interesting debate is if you had your little time machine and gone back last week, and Jay Johnson had to make this call without knowing, do I hold Barry and Doty in this SEC tournament knowing that it hurts my chances to win here, and knowing that that could hurt my chances to host a regional, because contrary to popular opinion, they were not a lock. Going to the SEC tournament. But do I trade that in exchange for having those two guys as healthy as they can be, not 100% necessarily, but as healthy as they can be, but I might have to travel? Do you make that trade? And Jay Johnson made that trade, and I thought it was a calculated gamble. And it worked. Okay, he got as good a draw as he could get. Now, if they had sent LSU to Corvallis instead of Vanderbilt, and sent Vanderbilt to Gettysburg, I might feel differently about it. Okay, so he made a calculated gamble. I thought it was worth it.
Yeah, and it paid off. And now you got Jacob Berry going to be batting from the left side this weekend, which is going to be massive. Oh man, I had. Oh, okay. Speaking of other juicy storylines. If we want to look at some of the tournament as a whole, so the Texas A&M regional, which, again, I'll give you my layman interpretation of A&M, is so funny thinking back to that was the opening series of the year, right? Where walk-ons were having a good time. Texas A&M has like a 200 batting average at the time. They fucking suck. You know, you got to take 2 or 3. When you look at the schedule, we got to take 2 or 3 this week. You really should probably sweep. You know, all of a sudden, A&M beats you. Now you have the incredible Mikhail Hilliard play to win Game 3 on Sunday, and that ends up being huge. But it's one of those situations where it was hugely disappointing time. A&M ended up being fucking good, dude. And it's under first-year coach Schlossnagle, their highest seed ever, I think. They're a national seed. And now he will be going against his former crew, right? He does his own heel turn. He takes the oil money. He becomes an oil baron. And now he has to turn around and face the Texas Christians that he used to lead just 1 year ago.
Can I tell you that it's such a juicy storyline that I've actually got an idea. This may be this one may crash and burn on me altogether.
Okay, I love this thing.
But every piece of focus is going to be on TCU and A&M. Schloss was at TCU for a long time. He was a terrific coach there. Got him to College World Series 4 times. Okay, A&M's had the better year. Schloss knows their personnel better than anybody that's not on the current staff. Same way we were talking about Johnson in Arizona. Can I tell you that the UL Lafayette Raging Cajuns are hot right now? And Matt Deggs has done a really nice job down there. And they came through the Sun Belt tournament. They beat Georgia Southern. Won that, regional host site. Beat them to win the Sun Belt championship. They've won 5 out of 6. They are a very, very sneaky little team.
So this is like
this could blow up on me. They could go out there and get beat by 10 runs in 2 games. But
it kind of feels like a bit of a Royal Rumble situation. You have the 2 heavyweight contenders.
The Cajuns are worth a flyer at plus 550. They're worth a flyer.
Value. It's what we talked about at the beginning of the day. Fucking value.
Because those 2 teams. Look, TCU and Texas A&M, if they played the Cajuns 10 times, they'd win more, okay?
Yeah.
But in a short series, okay? In a short series where all of the focus is on somebody else, Deggs has got a chance to go in there and tell them it's us against the world, and if we upset TCU in the first game, everybody's got to take notice, okay? I'm just saying, it's not the worst bet on the board, okay? Are they going to come out of that series? Probably not, but I'll bet you they make a little noise.
No, dude, it's
because it's always supposed to be this way. When you get a Schlossnagle new team against the old team, and this is how they're going to play, and then it doesn't happen. Why? Because
somebody fucks it up.
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody crashes the party.
Yes.
It's like the Royal Rumble. You finally got the 2 people that have been eliminated, and everybody, they want to see them square off. They're like grappled up, and some little shithead sneaks out of the corner and clotheslines them both out the ring, and they're out. It's over.
TCU won the Big 12. I feel like I need to say that over and over again because they're not a host site, which if you'd asked me at the beginning.
So how'd they win the Big 12? They just got on a heater at the end?
No, they won the Big 12.
The regular season Big 12.
The regular season Big 12. But the rest of their schedule was lackluster enough that they didn't get – their RPI was in the 30s. So they didn't get a host site. In fact, they weren't even close. They won the Big 12, and they were not as close to getting a host site as LSU was, who finished 4th in the SEC. That's just the way it fell. There was some non-conference losses. They lost 2 to Gonzaga By the way, if you're looking for value.
Basketball?
No, no. Hey, what would you say? I'm kind of spoiling the Handycast. Can I plug my podcast for a second?
Fuck yes, Handy,
All right.
of course.
Handycast,
Dude.
okay. I went through all 16 regionals today and all the odds in that. And tomorrow I'm going to give some picks, but I'll give you a little foreshadowing.
Let's go. So wait, when's the Handicast dropping?
It dropped already.
Okay,
Today's dropped already.
out.
Today's
okay,
already out.
Yes.
Tomorrow's with the picks will drop before 10 a.m. because I got to get on the road. I go and see Buffett.
Fuck yes.
If I told you there was a team with 3 pitchers in the top 60 of this coming draft and a 4th pitcher that was in the top 150, which is top 5 rounds, if I told you there was a team with 4 pitchers inside the top
I would
100,
say it was Tennessee.
yeah, you certainly wouldn't say it was Gonzaga, would you?
No.
But it is. Okay? And you're giving me plus 200 at Virginia Tech? I'm going to take a flyer, my friend.
Go Dogs!
I'm going to take a flyer, my friend. Now they got to fly cross country, and Virginia Tech was great. I mean, Virginia Tech was 29-5 at home this year, and they were in the ACC, which was great.
Does Blacksburg get crazy?
For football, it does.
Yeah,
For baseball, I have no
baseball.
idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have no idea. They've hosted, I think, 1 or 2 regionals. I know they've hosted at least once, maybe 2. But you give me 4 pitchers that are in the top 150 players in this draft, send me to a regional, let me and you hit 3rd and 4th, and we got a shot.
Let's go. Fucking Hanny, bringing you the knowledge. The tournament's starting this weekend, dude. If you're listening, we're out here at Oliver Twist. We're here every Wednesday night, 7 to 8 p.m. They always do a break-even bottle tonight. It's Hancock.
This is delicious, by the way.
Hancock President's Reserve. It's incredible. Hancock President's Reserve. Sorry, I don't get excited and I jumble my words, but this is just a delicious bourbon. It's normally $22 a pour. It is $4 a pour this night. We also got a burger and some fries tonight. The red hot sticky wings here, excellent. The pepper jack boudin balls are incredible, dude. They will serve fries with gumbo poured over the top, which sounds gimmicky, but it actually works. And I always like 2 shots at a cock, so they give me a random cocktail. And this is a rhubarb drag race, so a little fun, punny play on RuPaul there, and it's delicious. So shout out to Oliver Twist. We're doing this for a year, okay, at least, and then some. So, like, we're going to be here every Wednesday. If you want to come out, football season, baseball, talk Super Regionals, we're going to be here every week. Now,
I may just come out next week, even though I'm not, like, working.
Hell yeah. And just come drink. I mean, that's what we do every time. Hanny, you got to come out here because Matthew Wiggins, the owner, is also a massive Star Wars nerd. And so after the show, that's all we do is talk Star Wars. And I've talked Star Wars with you multiple times, and I would love nothing more than it'll pick your brain once you're done with Buffett and once you've seen these first 3 episodes. Okay, Gulf South had a question. He says, ask Handy, if LSU beat La Tech and had 2 more quad 1 wins and beat in both games, do you think they would have hosted? What would that have done for their RPI?
I think it would have bumped it a little bit, but I don't think it would have made a difference.
Okay.
I think where LSU lost their host site was Missouri, Mississippi State.
There's Wiggins right there, the Star Wars nerd master himself. Thank you, Matthew.
Missouri, Mississippi State, you lost 3 quad 1 wins when Missouri fell out of the top 50. You lost 3 quad 2 wins when Mississippi State fell out of the top 100.
Oof.
And Alabama ended up right there on the bubble. That was 2 more quad 1 wins. I think all of those games meant more. I think if you got the 2 quad 1 wins, you'd have been 12-16 against quad 1. I'm sorry, 12-14.
Yeah.
You still have a losing record.
Yeah,
okay?
it's still not that good.
I'm not saying it didn't mean anything, but I don't think it was a difference. I think if Missouri had been in the top 50 and you could flip it and say instead of 10-16, you're 13-13, I think that would have been a much more compelling argument. If you could have flipped Mississippi State and flipped you 3 more quad 2 wins, I think that would have made a difference. I think the La Tech, it would have made a small difference, but I don't think it would have been enough.
Yeah, and ultimately, I mean, the original sin is the Ole Miss sweep at home, right? Yeah, like that is the ballast that dragged you down. Now, sweeping at Vanderbilt is almost just as unexpected, so, like, I guess it's almost a break-even. Maybe that's a break-even bottle in and of itself.
You know what, T-Bob, I don't want to make too much of the Ole Miss series by itself in a vacuum. I think it got noticed a lot more because it was at the end of the season. What what doomed LSU more than anything was that 10-16 against top 50 teams.
Yeah.
And those happened all the way back.
Was Ole Miss top 50 by the end of the year? By the end of the year. I'm saying they held into that.
Well, beating LSU 3 times got them in.
got him back in.
You go back to those 2 games against Louisiana Tech early in the year.
Yeah.
Okay. You go against these Missouri games, these Mississippi State games, and they're all supposed to count the same, right? It's different from seeding and making picks. Okay. For instance, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. There were, and I'm trying to remember what team it was that had 3 games against Florida. It's Liberty. Okay.
God,
Liberty,
dude, this fucking legal pad. It has everything.
Liberty has an RPI of 31. You asked me earlier if they won their league. I think they did, but I don't know for sure. But I know they beat Florida 2 out of 3 in Gainesville. Okay, you know when they did that? The first 3 days of the season. Okay, but those if you're just looking at the math, they count the same as whether they happen in February or they happen in May. So this is the difference between what your ranking is and how you look as a team. It's why I like Oklahoma so much, okay? Oklahoma is down because of some things they did early in the season. But those
they've
cats
been hot lately.
They ain't lost a series since March.
Oh, really?
Okay? They won the Big 12 tournament, and they didn't get to host, okay? But they're being dinged for losses that were a long time ago.
To Jordan Thompson.
Okay, now let me get to Florida for a second here. This is another one of what your ranking is based on what your actual deal is. Florida got 4 out of 6 in the SEC tournament, and it got them a host site.
Yeah.
But a lot of their Q1 wins came early in the season when they were throwing a guy named Hunter Barco. Hunter Barco is a top 10 pick in the draft.
Who else you faced and still won the series, correct?
And lost, but lost to him. But they won the series.
Yeah.
Okay. And
then he got
Hunter.
hurt.
He's been out. He's been out for 2 months. Okay. So Florida gets credit for all the Hunter Barco wins, but Hunter Barco ain't pitching this week.
He ain't walking through that door.
You gotta look at the whole body of work because you're getting credit for these Q1 wins in March and February, and they count, and I think they should count. I agree. One of the committee chair.
You want to see who's on. I mean, in terms of picks, you want to see who's on at the time.
The committee chair was trying to distinguish between Ole Miss and NC State on Monday.
And NC State was left out completely.
NC State was left out, and Ole Miss got in. And he went through the whole thing and the whole resumes, and it's close, okay? But where he lost me was he said, Ole Miss won 7 of their last 10, and NC State only won 5 of their last 10.
It's all supposed to count the same.
Yes. Why? Last 10 is something that has been off the board for the committee for 15 years or more, or should have been. Should not matter, okay? You know why, T-Bob? Because what control do you have over who you play in the conference and when you play it?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, your non-conference schedule is fair game. You control that, okay? If you decide to go play 3 teams out of the Patriot League, then God bless you. If you want to play 3 teams out of the ACC and the Big 12, you should get credit for that. But your conference schedule, LSU had no control over where they played Vanderbilt, where they played Kentucky, where they played anybody.
Admittedly, that finale looked harder than it ended up being when we saw the schedule at the beginning of the season.
Right.
Now you still got swept by Ole Miss, which is wild, but you didn't expect Ole Miss and Vanderbilt to have losing records when you were
play
going
30 games, and they all count the same.
But that reinforces your point, right? Like you never know what form a team is going to be at, where you have no control over.
They all count the same, and when you say, well, these last 10. Let me tell you something else that drives me crazy. Or do you want me to, just
No, go. I love it, dude. I love it. I fucking love it, Hanny.
Here's something else that drives me crazy. Okay.
Beat this man.
LSU should get more credit, because they played this SEC tournament without 2 of their best players.
Yeah.
No, they shouldn't. How do you know what Jacob Barry and Kay Doty would have done in that tournament? They might have driven in 12 runs.
Well, and to your
point, they
point,
might have gone 2 for 16. Who can say? Who is the committee to play God and say, oh, well, you guys would have been? No, we don't know that. And if you think that's unfair
to
to
point,
LSU,
it was a calculated risk by Jay Johnson. Like when he holds him out, like you don't get credit for holding your guys out because you want them to be healthy.
No, you don't. Let me put it a different way. Tennessee, going into the SEC tournament, had the number 1 seed locked up. They could have called Hoover and said, we're not coming, and they'd have still been the number one seed. So let's say Tennessee wins that first game, and in the second game against LSU, they decide to pull all their starters. Vitello says, man, look, we got nothing on the line here. We're the number one seed. We're pulling five of our regulars, and we're throwing a down-the-line pitcher because we want to get ready for next week. And LSU wins, okay? And the committee says, well, you beat Tennessee, but you didn't really beat Tennessee. That's BS, okay? That's BS.
Yeah,
no, you are responsible for putting a team – you are what your record says you are. Bill Parcells, okay? You either beat Tennessee – they put the uniforms on and they went out there, or you didn't. You either beat LSU or you didn't. And if Doty and him didn't play and Barry didn't play, well, that's just how that went, okay?
Well, and it's a
are
benefit
what
to
your
LSU.
record says you are.
They set those guys to get them healthy for the tournament. So, like, yeah, you should not get credit.
Do me a favor,
T.
Do me a favor, T-Bob.
When
I'm saying you, I'm talking about the committee.
Yes,
okay?
fuck yes.
I got a legal
dude.
pad. I've been doing research on this.
Fucking legal pad.
I got a legal
pad. The goddamn Bible of the college baseball tournament, dude. It has every single fucking answer out there.
And you know what's on this legal pad?
No.
Stats that have been accumulated and are verified. Not a damn assumption on this page for me.
Facts,
okay?
baby.
Not a single one. Okay.
Facts.
So I don't anymore want the committee to assume that Doty and Barry would have driven in 12 runs and LSU would have made it to the finals any more than I want them to assume that they would have gone 1 for 16. You don't know. So there is enough information with what you do know. There's 60-plus games.
Yeah, there's a reason why we play all these games.
Stick to what you know.
Verifiable
and
fact.
Don't tell me about the last 10. You got 60 of them. Why you pigeonholing this down into the last 10?
I mean, fucking handy, dude. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Dude, giving you the fucking unfiltered truth here on the Scone T podcast. We love that shit.
As much as I want this to benefit LSU, there have been years where I could point to 18 metrics to where LSU, should have done better, got screwed.
Yeah.
2011, most notably. I'm glad that these metrics don't back up an LSU point of view. They don't.
Yeah.
Okay? I would rather play by the same damn set of rules every year, whether it benefits my team or not, so at least I know what the playing field is.
Well, nobody can attack your
SEC meetings in Destin this week, and they're talking about how to do schedules, okay?
Yes.
Which has been –
and we fucking go, boys. Okay, what you got?
The scheduling in the SEC has been biased, unfair, and effed up since 1992, okay? And now they're finally deciding to get it right, okay? Took them 30 years and 2 expansions to get it right.
So you agree, though? You agree with the 9 conference games, 3-6 model? You play everybody in 4 years, no more divisions. You like all that?
Yes, I'm in favor of the 3 and 6 more than the 1 and 7. Because if you're going to give me an extra conference game, I think that's worth having 3 permanent opponents. But
you need more consistent yearly matches.
I want it to be fair. I want it to be consistent. I don't want last 10 games to matter this year when it didn't last year. I looked at LSU going into this year, and I said they are the 2022 LSU Tigers or the 2021 Florida Gators. I mean, almost to the decimal point.
Yeah,
okay, so that's fine. If it took Florida 3 wins to get a host site last year and one of them over a top 5 RPI, then damn it, that's what LSU should have to do this year. And they didn't. And so they got penalized and they have to go on the road, and that's fair. Okay?
Yeah.
But
that's what you're looking for.
But don't give me a situation where the exact same thing happens 2 times in a row and you're going to treat the situations differently. It's not right. And they used to do this with the SC baseball tournament. Don't get me started on a year South Carolina finished 5th in the SEC. 5th! And was the number 3 national seed. 5th in the regular season.
5th in the but they won the SEC tournament?
They won the SEC tournament. They were the number 3 national seed. Wow. They were ahead of the not the ACC because that was Miami. They were ahead of the Big 12, the Pac-12, and another conference.
Okay, so to play devil's advocate, what did South Carolina end up doing that year?
They made the College World Series. I'm not saying they weren't good.
No, I know. I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm just saying, like, the committee seems like, yeah, they might fudge the numbers if they feel like a team's in better form than another one.
I don't want to base anything on the committee's predictions. Okay, I want the committee to. And by the way, I think
you
the
want the committee
really
to be like, yes, and that's what I'm going to ask you. Overall, how do you feel they did this year? Because you want them to be we are
well.
like an agnostic, like mathematically driven, like. What do the numbers say? I don't care about when the numbers say, but what do they say overall? Here's the data. Here's it.
If I would have been on the committee, I would have lobbied for Oklahoma ahead of Florida. Okay, I might have lobbied for Notre Dame ahead of Auburn. The rest of it, I think they pretty much got right.
Okay.
Those are the two changes.
So it passes the legal pad for the most part. It gets legal pad approval.
They got about 98% of it right.
I mean, there you fucking go, boys. Okay, Hanny, last 10 minutes here then. We talked a lot of college baseball, and I love this because I'm new to the game, and I feel like I learn it more and more every year. And this year especially has been
you want to borrow my legal
fun.
pad? I'm going to leave it home.
No.
You can't read my handwriting
That
anyway.
legal pad, no, it's not that. That legal pad would be the equivalent of handing, like, the Rosetta Stone to a caveman. Like, I would not know how to make heads or tails of it. I do tend to know football a bit more, and you got the SEC meetings going on right now. One thing I love from LSU standpoint here is, and make no mistake, I love, you know me, Hanny, I love framing things in a medieval context.
Yeah.
These are all the feudal lords, right? The ADs showing up with their presidents and their generals and kind of showing off, look at what I have bringing to bear this year. And when the last time this happened, Woodward showed up, he'd only been on the job a couple months.
Yeah.
He's bringing a bunch of inherited people. Will Wade, Nicky Fargas, Ed Ogeron, who at the time, Ed Ogeron would go on to do great things, but then he flamed out just as quickly as he flew so brightly. And now, though, it is interesting to me that Woodward returns with an LSU that has been completely remade in his image. All the most important jobs, even down to the president. An LSU that, outside looking in, is viewed as being, at best, negligent, at worst, willfully corrupt in a lot of situations, scandal all over the place. And Woodward has made it his mission to try to excise this. And so it's been change after change after change. And now they show up at these SEC meetings, and it's just, I would love to see how Kim Mulkey is working that room. I've enjoyed seeing Brian Kelly kind of work the room. And I'm sure if you're Brian Kelly, you like the fact that anything that was going to get thrown your way has been overshadowed by this Jimbo and Saban debate.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing to be able to step back and get your popcorn and watch.
It's like,
and after today with the whole we're moving on thing, is there any greater indication that the commissioner called these two coaches and said, "Cool it"? I mean, like a father telling his two teenage sons, "That's it." I've never seen.
And Sankey's powerful. Sankey's got a bit of a young Palpatine in him. He has grown in power mightily over the last few years.
I thought Sankey was exceptionally weak in his first year or two, but I didn't give him enough. It was my mistake. I didn't give him enough of a chance to transition into the job. He has taken over the reins and he has done wonders. The COVID thing alone, is legendary stuff. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for Kelly to be able to sit back and watch this thing, but LSU's got a significant amount of influence here. And the difference is the last time they did this, the last time they expanded the conference, LSU didn't have nearly this much clout. And 2 times ago, they certainly didn't. 1992, when they decided to go to 12 teams and they decided to talk about opponents, permanent opponents, they stuck LSU with Florida. And Joe Dean was like, wait a minute. Spurrier was there. Wait a minute. Hold on. And they said, okay, let's vote. Auburn's going to play Georgia, and Alabama's going to play Tennessee, and the bottom 3 are going to play the bottom 3, and LSU, you're stuck with Florida. And he was a man without a country. He was outvoted 11-1. Oh gosh, I did what I could. And he didn't have any. He didn't have a chance in hell. LSU's got a real seat at the table this time when it comes to the scheduling.
Okay, so do they, given the new faces and given everything else, is that because of the on-the-field success you think they do?
Absolutely. In 1992, when they expanded, Florida didn't care if they played LSU.
Yeah,
They didn't care. They were
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
why do we have to play? It doesn't matter. We're gonna beat the crap out of
that's fascinating perspective.
Doesn't.
Yeah, so it was like catching
It was
like Kentucky or something like that. Not modern Kentucky, but what Kentucky's been.
Jeremy Foley and Steve Spurrier. You think they're worried about playing Curly Holman? Not a bit. Please give us those guys. Can we vote twice? Now it's very much different now, and I'm all for a rotation, okay? I've always been for a rotation. I think there's certain rivalries that have to be preserved, but not the amount of rivalries that have to be preserved. I did a podcast 2 weeks ago. I said there's 25 rivalries in college football that cannot be touched. 25, and that's it.
Oh, you named him?
20.
You did all 25?
I named names.
Let's fucking
25.
go.
You should go listen to the handicap.
Send me the link. I got to listen
1045
to
ESPN.com.
this, Yeah, bitch, I know. I'm saying
on.
send me the link to that episode. I'm going to check
I
this
even
out.
titled it the 25 rivalries in college football that can't be touched. And there's some in there that are obvious, but the amount of teams that have two is almost, you can count them on one hand. Okay, Alabama has to play Auburn every year. They don't have to play Tennessee.
Yeah.
Auburn has to play
you
Alabama.
Need the Iron Bowl.
They don't
you
have to play
the Iron Bowl.
Okay, out of the SEC, I'll do a real quick thing here. I know we're running short time.
Oh, bro, there's no. Okay, let's be very clear about this. I could talk sports with you forever. There's no strict time on this. I want you to finish all your points. Don't feel
How
rushed.
many?
Just give me a look like bitch. Okay, relax.
How many SEC rivalries? The current SEC, not counting.
Okay. You want me to name the irreplaceables, the untouchables?
The irreplaceables.
Okay, let me try.
These teams have to play every year, no matter what. There's four.
Okay. There's four. So I find the four. Okay,
Yep.
Alabama, Auburn. You already gave me one.
Easy. Yeah.
Florida, Georgia. Right? Got to be one. Okay. Okay. Florida, Georgia. Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Got to have the Egg Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay, so one more. Hold on. You can hear everybody yelling at me. I know I'm missing you, and we don't feel like it's Georgia Auburn. What am I fucking up here? Hold on. Let me think. Oh, no, I already got them. Is it? It can't be A&M LSU, but I feel like they want it to be, but no, it's not.
No.
I don't know.
I threw Auburn, Georgia in there.
Okay, Auburn, Georgia.
I threw Auburn, Georgia.
It's the oldest rivalry in the South, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Reluctantly. Reluctantly.
Well, you don't want to give a team two, but objectively, maybe Auburn gets.
Of the teams that in college football I thought had two, I'll give you one. Michigan. Okay, Michigan has to play Ohio State every year. Okay.
Yeah.
If Michigan and Ohio State don't play, it's not a college football season. But Michigan also has to play Michigan State.
Absolutely, that's a great point.
Okay, so those were some. There were a couple that were kind of off the grid, like Indiana and Purdue have to play every year. The old Oakland, they have to play every year. Okay, if you're going to have Big Ten football, Indiana and Purdue have to play.
What about
year.
like a Virginia Tech, Virginia?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there were a few. The Holy War was another one. BYU and Utah. I think that's one. But
like Georgia Tech, Georgia.
Yes.
Oh, for real.
South Carolina,
yes,
Clemson.
For real.
South Carolina, Clemson.
Okay, I thought I was making a joke.
Florida, I think, was another one that made my list because they need to play Florida State every year. Okay, but there's about 25 of them. And look, like every other list, it's debatable.
That's a great list, though, dude. That's
but
such a good fucking list.
Son, hey, you know where that list is? It's on the legal pad. I did it.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I'm going to ask you to consult the legal pad as you get a couple questions to close out here.
Yeah.
Joey B 19 says, how did the Aggies get a number 5 overall seed with just 2 more SEC wins?
Well, first of all, two more SEC wins is a lot.
Okay.
That their
I'm sure it has to do with their Q1 record.
Their Q1 record, yeah. LSU was 6 games below 500 in the Q1.
It takes a red flag for this tournament too, as we try to get our.
Yeah.
And to me, as much as they have overcome the pitching, and make no mistake, the team ERA stats boggle the mind given the starting pitching to me, but also to me, that Q1 record speaks to a lack of starting pitching.
And defense.
Oh yeah, and that's right. That is true.
I was going through. I'm going to do some picks tomorrow on the podcast, but the reason is, even with all this talent, okay, it's difficult for me to back LSU as a road favorite, is because of a lack of starting pitching. Who's going to start game 1, T-Bob?
Yeah, I know. That's what a lot of people are saying.
And who's going to start game 2?
Do you try to save Hilliard for game 2 because he's been your most consistent guy? But then can you really take that risk in game 1?
Let me take you back in sports talk lore to the who should start the opening game in a regional for LSU has been something we have debated all the way back into the late 80s. Jimmy Ott, my good friend. Okay?
Hey,
we are extremely close friends, and we will debate stuff all day and all night. Still, to this day, 26 years later, debate who LSU should have started in the opener of the 96 regional.
No.
And if you say Austin P and Eddie Yarnell to him, he will go, Bertman. The stubborn son of a bitch will still say Bertman made it. He will say Bertman made the wrong move. Jimmy, he is that adamant about his opinion that LSU should have pitched down. And I said they won the damn national championship, T-Bob, and he still said.
I got to write this down. Who do I need to confront Jimmy about?
Eddie Yarnell and Austin P.
Eddie Yarnell
1996.
Against Austin P. Bertman fucked up, even though they won the national championship. So they lost game 1?
No, they won. Jimmy's point was that Eddie Yarnell was the ace. And remember, this was a Thursday to Sunday, okay? And Bertman started Yarnell on Thursday because he could bring him back on Sunday. This was when they didn't put you in jail for bringing back pitchers on 2 days rest. And my deal was start Yarnell because you can bring him back, and that was Bertman's, and I was with Bertman, so, you know.
Yeah.
And Jimmy was like, you wasted him, okay? You could have beat Austin P with anybody else, okay? And
did Yarnell come back on Sunday?
He didn't have to. LSU scored 29 runs. but he was available. He was available. He was available if needed. Oh, by the way, you want a little history here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The 1996.
Y'all can't see it if you're just listening on the podcast. I'm smiling ear to ear right now.
1996 opener of the regional. LSU against Austin P. Games at about 6 o'clock, so the sun's sunset. And LSU comes out for the very first time ever in their gold uniforms.
Oh, in 96? Wait, against Austin P?
Against
That was the first ever time?
The first ever.
Wow.
Because we all looked at it, was like.
Not a Sunday series thing.
No.
They did this at the beginning of an NCAA tournament. They decided to debut new uniform combination. That seems fucking crazy.
Dan Canaveri got a deal. He was an assistant coach at the time. And he got a deal on some gold jerseys, and he's like, "Okay, we're gonna put them out there." And it was the first time, and we were all sitting there, and they did not go out for pregame in these damn things. Okay, when they came out on the field in those gold things, it was like, did they go out to the local sporting goods store and get these gold jerseys? Everybody hated them.
Yeah, I got a deal. I got a deal, boy.
T-Bob, they used to have a beer. They used to have a beer garden behind the media tent, okay, for LSU regionals, okay, and after all the games were done, okay, it was a long day. It was hot as hell.
Yeah.
We would go out, and after all the press conferences were done, it was about 11 o'clock at night. There was Herb Vincent, God bless him, put together a beer garden, and everybody go have a beer. And after that game, and they beat the hell out of Austin P.
Herb was treating people the right way.
Oh, look, he learned from Paul Manassa. And we went out there, and it was like, what the F were those gold jerseys?
Everybody's talking about it in the beer garden.
And Herb was like, Canaveri worked a deal. And Cano and I do a podcast now. So he found so they wore the gold jerseys. They won, and you know how the rest of the season. That was the birth of the gold jerseys. The game against Austin P. that Eddie Yarnell pitched, and they won, the regional.
Eddie Yarnell is like a great random sports name, too. Nobody would ever fucking remember the name Eddie Yarnell.
Eddie still lives in town here. He's a baseball coach, and Eddie's a good friend of mine. One of my absolute favorite LSU Tigers ever.
Wow.
And if you ask me, give me the all-time LSU left-handed pitchers. Eddie Yarnell's at the top. Him and Jared Poche.
I was about to say Poche's got to be
No, they're right there. Neither one of them threw as hard as Randy Kiesler in '98, but I'm rambling now.
No, Hanny, I fucking love this shit, dude. I love nothing more. You're an excellent storyteller. You're so full of knowledge. To someone like me who is new to this, like I said, I find this all fascinating. I love picking out the bits of history, so do not worry. I thank you for this. Merrick III wants to know, ask Hanny, what updates/changes does the box need? I agree, Merrick. Merrick says I could listen to Hanny tell stories all night long. I agree. What changes would you make?
Well, how much money do I have?
Let's say Scott Woodward's like, you have whatever you fucking need, because that's what he does.
Let me tell you what I've seen in my travels around the league that I think would benefit the box. Baum Stadium in Fayetteville takes their concourse all the way down the foul lines, okay? The LSU concourses stop at the baselines, okay? I feel like it's a much better fan experience if you could, let's say you're
saying in terms of, like, instead of just bleachers past the baseline, like keeping like a building?
I'm going to get to the bleachers in a second,
Okay.
but I'm talking about sight lines now.
Okay.
If you have seats down the right field or left field line at Alec Box, and you go to the concession stand, when you leave the concession stand at the bases, you lose line of sight.
See shit.
No. You lose line of sight.
I never thought about that.
At Baum, the concourse, okay, with the seats underneath it, goes all the way to the foul post, okay?
Yep.
I find that's a far superior layout.
I never even considered that.
All right. South Carolina, whose Founders Park was built the same year as Alec Box, okay, 2000.
And around the time they were winning national championships,
2009.
Right before they were about to win national championships?
Yes, they won the last one at Rosenblatt in 10, and they won the first one at TD in 11.
And this was built when?
The stadium opened the same year as Alec Box, 2009.
Okay.
2009. Founders Park has an interest from center field, okay? And I don't know if that's possible given the landscape of Alec Box, if you could actually have people, we're talking about ticket takers, entrance to the stadium from center field. But what Founders has got, which is really cool, is a deck. Once you enter into the center field portion of the stadium, there is a standing deck that you can watch from straightaway center field, okay?
Hang out, get drinks and shit?
Now, Founders has a huge bleachers that comes to a point, it looks very much like the rock pile at Coors Field, okay? It goes almost straight up. That's to the left of the scoreboard, at least the last time I went there. But the other side of the scoreboard is this deck, okay? Those are two of the coolest things really cool. in the SEC among new things. There's enough room to expand the suites down the lines, and there's enough demand for it like that. Obviously, when they put the bleachers in, they were trying to do an ode to the old box. And it was a bad idea because they should have upgraded to chair backs at the time, okay?
Yeah.
And I still think
now it's going to be more expensive.
It's going to be more expensive. It's going to be more cumbersome. They still need to do that. But by far, the number one upgrade Alec Box Stadium needs is they have got to get those bullpens off the field. Those bullpens have to go behind the outfield. Okay,
come on.
The old box was landlocked. Okay, there was a railroad, immovable objects. Okay, on three sides.
Yeah. You had no customization. You had no option.
Could not move the railroad tracks.
Yes,
you could not move Nicholson Drive, and you could not move what became Skip Bertman Drive. You were landlocked. Okay, but in an ode to the old box. They said, we're going to keep the bullpens on the field, and I think that was a mistake. I thought it was a mistake the day they did it. The bullpens should not be in play unless it is absolutely necessary. And we saw a young man from, I'm forgetting what school it was, go barreling into those solid wooden benches in the bullpen and lose the rest of his season, earlier this year. It is a cost-cutting measure. It is, I hate to use the term Bush League, because they did it at the old box.
It's purposefully Bush League, though. That's what I'm saying.
They had to do it at the old box, okay?
And also, that's a time where college baseball, I can't imagine that many college baseball stadiums even had, like,
those bullpens have to
support to
go
bullpens
out of play.
Yeah.
And there's places for them behind the outfield. You have to. Here's the sticking point, okay? You have to run the outfield walls to plexiglass so you can see, and that costs you advertising money. Okay, because then you can no longer put the advertising on the front of the plexiglass.
You have that way. You have to have the wall, the plexiglass, like the wall into the bullpen.
So you can see the bullpen. Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that.
Well, I mean, you
can't just stick it behind the wall.
You can, but then your manager can't see. your guys warming up.
I guess it's something they've never even considered. The manager, like, I know as dumb as that sounds, like, I wonder how many people are
Let
like,
me tell you
like,
let me tell
is
you.
the manager watching people warm up and being like,
Want-
he's fucking got it, he doesn't. I feel like, no, it's like you're just warming up and you call him to go in.
You want another story?
How the fucking MLB guys do it? Because they don't have plexiglass, right?
But they have phones. They have smartphones. Okay, let me tell you another story. We go to Arizona.
Musso is laughing at me. If you're watching online or listening, Musso is laughing at me with the laughter of a wizard laughing at a little sorcerer's apprentice who doesn't even know how to make a feather levitate right now.
So let me tell you another story, okay? If you
yes,
want,
dude, yes, feed me the fucking story.
So LSU goes to Arizona State in 2001. I'm on a trip, okay? They're playing 3 games against Arizona State. Arizona State's bullpens are completely outside of the stadium. The Arizona State baseball stadium is adjacent to the track stadium, and their bullpens in between, okay?
What the fuck?
You cannot see them.
It's a long-ass jog, dude.
Not only is it a long-ass job, but the coaches can't see. It's like you can't look down there and go, hey, is so-and-so ready? So here's what LSU did. They found one of their relief pitchers that year had some walkie-talkies. Okay? This is before cell phones had,
It's 2001.
Yeah. He had walkie-talkies. Okay? They sent him down to the bullpen with the walkie-talkies, and his job for the weekend was to get on the walkie-talkie with Skip and tell him when guys were ready.
Ooh.
Now, you know who that relief pitcher was. His name was Justin Hill, who is now the head coach at McNeese State. Justin Hill was a relief pitcher. They're like, I said, and he wasn't pitching much at the time. I was like,
hey, it's a good coach.
I was in the airport with him. I said, hey, Hill's on the trip. And he was like, yeah, he's got the walkie-talkies.
Wait, hold on. So you're telling me that LSU or college baseball, they don't have a phone to call the pen?
In 2001?
No, now, yes.
No,
what?
It's 75 feet away. They just walk out of the dugout and wave.
No, but like other SEC stadiums, they don't have they're like, are you not allowed a phone? Like, why do we need plexiglass?
You're allowed a phone, but you want to be able to see.
Oh, okay, yeah, dude. Okay, dude.
T-Bob, you should know. You call somebody on the phone, you ask them a question. Hey, is the guy ready? And, oh, yeah, he's ready. And you're like, well, that didn't sound too good. So you look at him, and the guy's like, all discombobulated. Now, I want to be able to see. I'm coaching.
Okay. What I love about that answer, too, is so many people just go to some sort of hill in the outfield for people to drink and throw beers on. And I think that would be fun, but you found any other improvements, which I really like, which LSU does not necessarily have.
Yeah. The concourses down the lines, the chairbacks. I don't know that a deck in center field, the way South Carolina has, is even
got
possible.
The left field lounge,
I'll tell you another park I love is Auburn. I love the nuances of the park. They've got the big green, the mini monster, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I would, but of course, that's not possible at the box. But extending the concourses down, moving the bullpens, chairbacks, and you could extend the suite level. That would be a great start.
My fucking dog.
Okay, do a commercial.
Yeah. Okay,
I'll be right back.
Okay. Look, a huge thank you to everyone for joining us on tonight's Scone T podcast. Again, we're out here at Oliver Twist. We're out here every Wednesday night. We're out here 7 to 8 p.m. We have a break-even bottle every Wednesday night. I know there's a lot of bourbon heads in Baton Rouge, and this is for the bourbon heads. We have crazy deals. We had some purple top Willet, which, again, I don't have a great perspective on, but we all know how Moscona loves to lord his whiskey knowledge over all of us, his bourbon knowledge. He had never even seen purple top Willet in real life. And we had it for $10 a pour last week. That's a bottle that goes like $2, $3, $4 grand on the secondary market. This right here, this Hancock President's Reserve, $22 a pour, normally $4 a pour tonight. So, coming here to Oliver Twist. And if you can't make it night, it is every Wednesday. Look, a huge thank you to everyone who ended up joining us. I love it. Thank you to Merrick, John, Ace, Gulf South, Sean Patrick, Cajun Marine, MJ Abear, I like how you spell that, our boy Nick Diaz, Daniel Basham, Maples sponsors, music, BL, Paul Giat. Thank you to all y'all, Sammy Silver. It has been a real pleasure tonight. Hey, Musso, hop on the mic real quick. Hop on the mic real quick, dude. Hop on the mic. What, you've only done fucking 4 hours of radio today. Are you tired of talking?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, just give us
one
little Scone T regional prediction. Does LSU get out of Hattiesburg?
I think they do. I think they do. Well, they got to go 2-0. I want them to go 2-0. If they don't go 2-0, I'm worried.
And Merrick Mathurns wants me to tell you to talk to these ladies behind us. I've seen video of Musso in the wild. He's quite successful.
Easy.
I'm just saying you're quite successful. You can hit the gritty, dude. I've seen it. I have spies sending me videos.
Thank the Lord Hanny is back.
All right, Hanny. Dude, I can't thank you enough, man.
Dude, this was fun.
This is so much fucking fun. I love this. It reminds me of me and you at LeBear's Tiger Zone, talking Tigers, just fucking picking your brain,
I still got that picture of you and the Wizard.
From the Halloween show, dude. It's a great. I mean, it's a great costume. Look, Bradley R. Chill out, Bradley R. That's the horny thing. OP says this is a great show, guys. Sparking Hound says loving the story tonight, guys. I mean, I agree, man. Hanny, I can't thank you enough for filling in. I will be out next week, so I would imagine, Hanny, if you're down, maybe you'll in a little mad next week. We'll see. I don't want to make any promises. I don't know what everybody's schedule looks like. Hey, thank you so much, man. I always fucking love working with you. And I mean, shout out to Oliver Tristan. He just feed us alcohol the whole time. It's incredible. And, bro, have fun at Buffett tomorrow.
Yes.
It's going to be awesome.
That's probably going to happen.
Paired Heads Unite. And I look forward to speaking with you after you see these first 3 episodes of Obi-Wan, because I think you're going to get exactly what you're looking for. All right, y'all, we have gone long, but again, I thank y'all for joining us today. I cannot thank Hanny enough. Hanny, what do you want to say to people before we go? Oh, and listen to the Hanny cast. I have to go listen to this top 25 episode. I can't wait, dude.
If I have one request, okay, of there's no way that this is going to get back to him, but I have seen Buffett 15 times. At least.
Yes.
Okay, that's just a rough count. Okay?
Yes.
T-Bob, this may be the last time I see him. I don't know how much longer he's going to. He's 75 years old now. I don't know how much longer he's going to tour. Okay, he still puts on a great show, and I can't wait.
75 years old.
Yeah.
It's like Nick Saban.
Everybody asks me, what's your favorite Buffett song? My favorite Buffett song is a song you probably never heard. Song called Tin Cup Chalice.
As it should be, if you're a true Buffett head. It probably should be a bit of a
Margaritaville is a great song, but it is not my favorite.
Cheeseburger Paradise
actually doesn't make my Buffett top 10, if you want to know the truth.
There you go,
My
dude.
favorite song is
Sounds like another handicast right there.
In
Buffett top 10.
15 trips, he has never played Tin Cup Chalice. It's one of his more, it's not one of his top songs, okay? I'm just hoping, going into our night, this may be the last time I see Buffett.
Tin Cup Challenge.
Not when
and it's your favorite fucking
song. I'm hoping that he plays Tin Cup Challenge.
Does anyone know how to get in touch with somebody in the Buffett party, dude? Oh, my God.
That is my hope going in tomorrow night. If he played Tin Cup Chalice and left, I'd be fine with it.
Oh,
that's all I want to see. Because I've heard all the other songs. They're all great. I can't wait to see him again. Play Tin Cup Chalice tomorrow night, and I'm going to be a happy guy.
Please, play Tin Cup Chalice.
One of the great songs ever.
All right, I'm going to listen on the way home.
Yeah.
All right, this is it for this week's Scone T podcast. Again, Matt is in Destin, stalking the SEC meetings. I will be going to California next week to go hang out with my family. Going to do a little Disney, which I'm excited about. I always like doing that with the kids. Go ride Rise to the
Star
Resistance
Wars
again.
land, huh?
Yeah, bro. That fucking Rise to the Resistance ride is the first ride that I've ridden as an adult where I'm like, oh, this is different. Like, it feels like the next step in ride technology. But whatever.
Cool.
Shout out to Sean Patrick for the super chat. He says, get Hanny a drink. Don't worry, Hanny has had a drink. Matthew always keeps us loaded up here. But cannot thank you all enough for hanging out with us tonight. Again, like, rate, review the pod on iTunes. Hit up the Handycast, 1045ESPN.com. And now we all got our own RSS feeds, too, so we need to push that as well for, like, Apple and Spotify and everything. But, Hanny, I love you, man. Thank you so much,
brother. Good to be here.
Fucking right, dude. All right, next week. We'll see you next week on Scone T. Kill it, Moose.